On this episode of Brewing Around the Realm, I brew up an Oktoberfest inspired ale. It's a good one you don't want to miss. Keep watching to find out how. Welcome back to Brewing Around the Realm. I am Dave, your amateur brewmaster, and on this episode I am brewing up an Oktoberfest inspired ale. I know German Marzen style beers are normally lagers. I do not have a fermentation fridge, and I don't have the ability to lager a beer properly below 50 degrees for the 8 weeks that will be required to make this work. So instead of missing out on the Oktoberfest spirit, I decided to brew up an Oktoberfest style ale. I used a standard Marzen style recipe and used German ale yeast instead of lager yeast. Let's get right to it, get to the ingredients, see how this one turned out. Here are the ingredients for today's Oktoberfest. The grain bill today comes from Atlantic Brew Supply in Raleigh, North Carolina. The local brew shop did not have the Munich Type 1 that I needed for today's brew, so I had to get that shipped in. That is 5.5 pounds of Munich Type 1, 5.5 pounds of Maris Otter, and 1 pound of Crystal Malt Type 1. That is 38 to 48 Lovibond. I also ordered today's yeast, which is Wyeast 1007. It's the German ale yeast. I made a starter with that. I put that in the refrigerator and cold crashed that overnight, so I will decant this a little bit later. Yeast nutrient, gypsum, baking soda. Today's hops are Hallertau Mittelfrüh. We'll use 1.5 ounces for that. It's a pretty simple grain bill today, so let's get started. Target mash temperature today is low 50s. I'm going to shoot for 152. I put 173 degree water in here. I'm just going to dump this in as usual. I used 14 quarts of water today with 12 pounds of grain, so I should be good with that. Looks like our mash pH is going to hover right around 5.6, so I am happy with that. I usually try to target right about 5.5, so that's probably as good as we're going to get for today. Alright, 75-minute mash time is up. First wort hops. 1.5 ounces of Hallertau Mittelfrüh into the wood kettle. Finally up to a boil. The only addition I'm adding here today is 1.5 teaspoons of gypsum. There are no additional hops going into this today, only the original 1.5 ounce addition for first wort. Alright, 15 minutes left, in goes the wort chiller. I'm going to dump in 5 tablespoons of yeast nutrient and a Warflock tablet. I ended up with extra wort, so rather than throw this out or modify it and add it to the regular kettle, which I met my volume at of 5.5 gallons, let's do something with this. First, let's do a little math. So our current gravity is 1032, and let's say we want to be at 1060. Sounds like a good target to shoot for. We need to get there, so that gives us a 2.028. We'll drop this part, and we need to. We know DME gives us a 0.046 per gallon. So let's take 28. By 60, nope, no, 20 to 46. That's going to give us about point, do that in my head here, 0.60 something, which is good enough. So we need to add 0.6 pounds of DME, which I have here, to this to get to 1060. Let's go crazy and do 0.75 because we're going to do a 1.2 batch. We want to see if that comes out right. So here we go. This is our value right here. Let's get some DME and dump in there. And what the hell, we're only going to boil this for 15 minutes, so let's throw a quarter teaspoon of gypsum in there. Teaspoon of yeast nutrient. And our side project is ready, so I'm going to just throw in a half an ounce of Centennial, and I'll start chilling this down. So I have both my Oktoberfest and the side IPA that I made out of that ready to go. They're both cooled down. So since I didn't really plan on having this one, I think what I'm going to do is just take a couple of 100 milliliters out of here, and I'm just going to pitch that right in. And that should be plenty. There's plenty of yeast in here for that. Maybe a little bit more. And then I'm just going to dump the rest of that in here. And that'll be more than enough to ferment these out. So let's go back, see how these came out. As you saw from that completed brew day, I actually ended up with 2 beers out of that day. A small 1-gallon Oktoberfest inspired IPA and the actual Oktoberfest ale itself. Both of those fermented out nicely, and I have them both here. We're going to sample those. The Oktoberfest is the first beer that I kegged. So let's go over to the kegerator. I'll pour out an Oktoberfest ale, and we'll try both of these. The IPA is in here, and I'll let you know how they are. So let's talk about the Oktoberfest first. This came out very clear after sitting in the keg for, it's been in the keg for about 3 weeks now, and I had brewed this beer on August 4th. It is now September 21st, and this is actually really, really good. This is probably about as good as you're going to get. It does have a nice head on it that sticks for a while. This has been sitting here for a couple of minutes, but let me get a taste. And despite the fact that this is an ale, it has all the characteristics I would expect from a traditional Oktoberfest. It's not dry on the back end like you would think a traditional Marzen would be, but it's very, very good. And trust me, there's not much left in this keg. I've been drinking it for the last 2 or 3 weeks, and it is it's going to be gone shortly. But I'm happy I brewed this and got in on the Oktoberfest spirit this year. I think it's something I'm definitely going to be brewing in years to come. So let's try this small batch IPA here that I brewed up out of the remaining part of that batch. And being only a gallon, I only got 3 total 22-ounce bottles out of this, so it worked out pretty nicely. As you can see here, this turned out really nice. It has slightly more head on it than the Oktoberfest because there's a little bit more carbonation in this, and it is a little bit lighter because I put so much DME in it. Let's take a sniff of this. I can definitely get a little bit of a hop aroma out of this because it was only a 15-minute boil on that. I'm not going to get much aroma out of that, but it smells good. Let me give it a taste. Yeah, that came out really good. It's nice and malty. I get some really good bitterness out of that, and there's some really nice hoppy, piney flavor coming out of that. Yeah, I'm really glad I did that. I'm glad I didn't waste that extra wort, and I brewed that gallon of wort into something that was very nice and drinkable. I'm probably not going to do that again, but that gives you some knowledge as to what you can do. If you have more than a gallon of extra wort left over, you can make adjustments to that and make something just as good as your original product by adding some DME. And there you go, my 2 beers that came out of one single batch. I got 2 completely separate beers out of that, and it was an interesting experiment, and I'm glad I did it. If you get a chance to brew this one, please drop me a line and let me know. You can send me a email through my website at brewingaroundtherealm.com. Just use the email link at the bottom of the page, and that will send a message directly to me, or leave a comment on the video stream on YouTube. That's always appreciated, and I do try to respond to all the comments. Remember to share, like, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so. I have plenty more brew days coming up. I have several in the can, and I'm going to be doing another one soon. So there's always another brew day coming up. I do have all the recipe information on brewingaroundtherealm.com for this, and you can download the XML file for this brew so you can import that directly into Beersmith on your own. You don't have to actually go and bother typing all this stuff in again. And if you get a chance, give this video a thumbs up or a thumbs down. It's okay either way. Till next time, happy brewing!